Hello, my name is Tony and welcome back to Fragdicted. Today's video we have a tag video for you. I was tagged from Chris at Fragmental. Thank you Chris for the tag. And this tag video is 12 fragrances, one for each month and throw the rest. So if you want to see my choices, stay right where you are. So I'll give my tags out at the end of the video. I have chosen to make mine a designer list. So let's start with January. What did I pick? I picked DIOR Homme Intense. Now this is probably one of my favourite designer fragrances in my collection. I just adore it. This is the 2019 batch, so it's the pre-2020 release. I'm not quite sure what they've done with that yet. I've not tested it out, but I've not got a big bottle either, so I'm really frightened that I'm going to run out of this. I just adore it. It is one of my favourite in my whole collection. It suits January really well because of the cooler weather. It's deep and dark enough and it lasts on the skin really well. The main notes in this are iris, and it has that lipsticky, buttery iris that I just love in a fragrance. But the pear and the woods, the cedar, play a massive part too. With that iris note, in this, some might see it as being a little bit too feminine for their liking, but for some reason I find it a masculine fragrance. I love it. I think either gender could get away with this though. I think it would work equally well on a male or a female. I think it definitely works as a unisex fragrance. So that is my January pick. On to February. I've gone with GIVENCHY Gentleman the EDP. There we go. So this is my February choice. I think again it's a little bit cooler in February. We get snow here in the UK in February, so the temperature is still very low, and this really works again in the cold weather. It can be a little cloying if you overspray it, so please be careful of that. It lasts on your skin. It's again got that lipsticky iris that I love in DIOR Homme Intense, but this ramps up the spices and the sweetness. It's got a more resinous feel to this. It's got tonka and vanilla and benzoin in the base, so it really adds some depth to it. So that is my choice for February. Moving on to March, I've gone with SPICEBOMB Night Vision, the Eau de Parfum. I think the presentation on this is stunning. Really like the colouring with the black and the green. Now, I've picked a lot of flankers in this list. I love the original, and unfortunately I didn't put it in the lineup. I put this in because I think it would work really well in March. We've still got a bit of coolness in March, but the temperature just rises just a bit, and the reason I picked this is because of how versatile it is. It would work in any weather, maybe not in the highest of heats. So I think March is perfect for this. It's got apple, it's got spices, it's got a nuttiness, it's got some resins. It has that similar bubblegum sweetness that you find in the original, but this lasts really well on my skin. This is a much better release than the EDT, so don't get them confused. This is almost like the bigger brother of that. This has righted the wrongs of that fragrance. I think it's very mass appealing, it's very pleasing, it's very easy to wear. You're not going to offend anybody. So that's my choice for March. SPICEBOMB Night Vision EDP. Moving on to April, so spring has fully taken effect now. And I've gone with something really clean and fresh and easy to wear. And that is Prada L'Homme. So as you can see from the bottle, I'm making a bit of a dent in it. Another iris fragrance, I hear you say, but this tones down all the sort of darkness and depth that you found in the other two. This is a very clean, soapy, powdery iris. Although it has a whole host of notes in the fragrance, iris is the main player. This to me is the perfect office scent. It's perfect out of the shower. I think this will work particularly well in spring months. So this is my choice for April, Prada L'Homme. Moving on to May. There are a couple of fragrances in this list that have matched Chris's. I haven't copied Chris, they're just fragrances that I like also. I love Chris's taste, and I've watched these videos from my start in my journey, so he has influenced me quite a bit in some of my purchases. I've gone with Eau Sauvage Parfum from DIOR. That is the bottle. The presentation, fantastic. It's got the magnetic cap. Christian Dior always seem to get it right with their presentation, in my opinion. This is a timeless classic to me. It's a barbershop style fragrance. It's got the aromatics and it's got things like the lavender and the oak moss, which do give it a fougere touch. I think it's perfect as the weather just starts to warm a little bit. It's perfect with a shirt and tie. Again, it's very clean, it's very gentlemanly, it's very masculine, it's classy in my opinion. This gives me a feeling that I am on top of the world. It just really uplifts me. So if you're into fougères or barbershop style fragrances that have that classic touch and feel to it, the Parfum, although it isn't as loud as the EDT, it doesn't bounce off the skin as much, it sits a little bit closer. But it's a little bit smoother than the EDT, and that's why I like it. So that is my choice for May, Eau Sauvage Parfum from Christian Dior. So what have I picked for June? June is a really important month for me. The weather's really starting to warm up now. I've picked this fragrance because it has a lot of sentimental value to me, especially in June. And it's ISSEY MIYAKE, and it's the original Pour Homme. So got myself a nice fresh bottle. The only disappointment with the newer batches, they don't tend to last as long as I remember them in older batches that I've had. I've been through a few bottles of this. This is one of my favourite fragrances of all time. It has that sentimental value, which I've mentioned. My regulars that view this channel know that this is the fragrance I wore on my first date with my wife, and it's also the fragrance that I got married in. So it carries a lot of sentiment to me, but it is a good fragrance. It's so fresh and so uplifting and very unique. If someone's wearing this in a room, you can just pick it out so easily. It's got that real recognisable DNA. So Again, a very clean, fresh, easy to wear summer fragrance. It's very versatile. You can wear it day or night. So that is my choice for June. It's the ISSEY MIYAKE Pour Homme. Moving on to July, one of the hottest months here in the UK. So I've gone with probably one of the freshest fragrances I have in my collection, and that is VERSACE Man Au Fraiche. Go. So yeah, I mean, I don't think a summer list would be quite right without this. I think a lot of people would put this in their choices because of how fresh it is. I just absolutely adore the opening, I really do. Unfortunately, again, it doesn't last the longest on my skin, so I need to take it with me because I just love the opening. I could just smell the opening all day, but it quickly dissipates and disappears within 2-3 hours on my skin, and it becomes a very, very faint skin scent after that. So you'll be wondering why I put it on the list in the first place. There are summer fragrances that last longer on me, but I just find this is the freshest I have in my collection. It's the cleanest, it's watery, it's ozonic, it reminds me of holidays. It's really mass appealing as well, really easy to wear. I love the citruses in this, and that paired with the cardamom in the opening is just to die for. So that is why I've picked it. To me, it epitomises summer, it really does. So that is my fragrance choice for July. Moving on to August, I've gone with a classic. So my choice is TERRE de HERMES, the EDT. So I think this works particularly well in this month. It's, again, still can be very, very warm in August in the UK. Actually, it works well right away through spring and right away through summer, and maybe just slightly into early autumn. For those that have tried this, know what I mean, and it's a little bit dirty. It's got sort of a dirty orange opening with what can be perceived as quite a challenging vetiver. But it's not really green, it's just a bit earthy. Now, when I first sprayed this, I found it probably a little challenging for me. But what changed my opinion was, I had a customer come into my showroom where I work, and he smelled awesome. I asked him what he was wearing, and he was wearing TERRE de HERMES, the EDT. And it changed my mind on what it smells like on other people. If that's what people get from me wearing this, then I just thought, you know what, I've got to get it. I need a full bottle. As you can see, I'm running very low on the juice. If you want this to be slightly smoother, go with the PARFUM. This is a little scratchy, it's a little loud. The PARFUM sits a bit closer to the skin. It dials down the vetiver slightly, and it's a bit smoother. This works really, really well dressed up. So, white shirt fragrance to me, the perfect white shirt fragrance. So that is my August pick, and it's TERRE de HERMES, the EDT. On to September, I wanted to pick something again that's very versatile. Very similar to how March is. So September we can get some warmth, but then it can start to turn a bit cold as well. So we get a mixture of weather in our September here. I've probably gone with the most versatile fragrance and well-known fragrance on the marketplace today, and I've gone with DIOR SAUVAGE. But the PARFUM. I I won't bang on about this too much, but presentation's always great. Longevity on me is actually very good. I do spray on clothes though. That does lengthen the wearing for me. So it's got that familiar DNA that the original has, that everyone knows. So the pepper and the sandalwood and the bergamot on the top is there. This just adds that little bit of sweetness with the vanilla that they've added, and it's definitely a smoother fragrance. It doesn't list the ambroxan either, so it's not an ambroxan bomb. However, I do still detect ambroxan in it. I might be wrong, but I still think it's in this fragrance. The ambroxan is just not listed on Fragrantica, but I do think it's in there. My boys absolutely love this. I think if you're any age, you could get away with this, but it is literally so versatile. You could wear it anytime, and it is a crowd pleaser. It really is. Probably one of the most mass appealing fragrances on the marketplace today. Definitely one of the most successful. So that is my September choice, DIOR SAUVAGE PARFUM. So we've got 3 left. I hope you've stayed with me. Now we're into October. We're moving into the colder months. My choice is ARMANI Code ABSOLU. Now I picked this up on a rather cold trip to Poland in February. I flew from Heathrow, and they've got a huge, great big perfume outlet that's got lots of niche and designer fragrances, and I got my nose on an awful lot. But this really jumped out, so I picked this one up at the airport, and it's very enjoyable. Really, again, really easy to wear, very mass appealing. So this, to me, the best way I could describe it is that it's a much richer, creamier version of 1 Million. It has a similar spiciness and bubblegumness that you get in that fragrance, but this feels more resinous and thick than 1 Million. So the main notes in this are apple, orange blossom, nutmeg, vanilla, tonka, and one of the main notes, suede. So this really works in the colder months. Looking forward to wearing it when the weather starts to turn here, and that's ARMANI Code ABSOLU. Right, moving into November, and I've got another flanker. Lots of flankers in this list. Now, I picked this up for a bargain price thanks to Barry over at Centralize. And my November choice is 1 Million PRIVE. So, love the presentation on these bottles. I love the original of this. I've worn it an awful lot. It's one of my wife's favourite fragrances on me. It's youthful, just like me. It's spicy, it's got this bubblegum sweetness to it. But this has that, but it just ramps up the darkness a little bit. This is my favourite from the line. It adds tobacco and myrrh into the mix, which again adds that darkness and the depth to it, but still manages to retain the sweetness that you get in the original. So this to me is perfect for November, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting this fragrance out again and giving it a good wearing, because as you can see, I've not got through much of the juice. I've got too many now to really enjoy one fragrance, but this is very addictive, very easy to wear. If you want something a little bit more grown up than 1 Million, you don't want to smell like everyone else, then pick this up because it's really easy wear. I find it a bit more interesting. Now, onto my December fragrance. This was also in Chris's list. I think this will go into a lot of lists actually in the winter months. I've not long picked this up, so I haven't had a good wearing of this through winter. I'm really looking forward to that though, and this is Mugler's Amen Pure Malt. As you can see, lovely presentation. I just love the boozy sweetness that's in this. So it's got a whiskey call, but it's also got peat and malt in it. But again, one of the main notes is coffee, and I love coffee. I love the smell of coffee. I love coffee in fragrances. So the whiskey and the coffee note mixed together with the sweetness that's there from the resins and the vanilla, it's just gorgeous. It's got a touch of spice as well. It lasts forever on my skin. I can see why some people would find this cloying, which is the reason that I think it would work so well in December. Wrapped up with a big coat and a scarf, you'd get whiffs of this. It would last, it would cut through that weather. This I think would work brilliantly around the Christmas period too. So that is my December fragrance and the last one in this list, and it is Pure Malt by Mugler. So that's been my list. Thanks for watching. I've now got to tag a couple of people. Who do I tag for this? Because I got recently tagged by Dan from Mr. Smelly. We'll be getting onto that tag, Dan, so thanks for tagging me in that video. But I'm going to tag you in this because I would find it really interesting what 12 fragrances that you would pick. You can mix it up. You could have niche or designer or a bit of both. I went with designer. But hey, if you want to go with a niche list or design list, that's up to you. So I'd like to see Dan do it. I'd also like to see Lizzie do it over at Rose & Jones. I think she's got a fab collection and I love the way she explains fragrances. I am really enjoying her blossom on camera in terms of how she explains and her confidence, and I'd love to see what she would pick for her 12 fragrances. And lastly, I'd like to pick Claire at the Smurfygurly Channel. Claire has incredible taste. She has a real knack for finding gems, and I'd find it really interesting what she would pick from her niche collection. She's got a fantastic nose, so I'd love to see what she would associate with the different months. So Dan, Mr. Smelly, Lizzie from Rose & Jones, and Claire, the Smurfygurly Channel. I'll link all their channels below. Thanks again to Chris for tagging me. I really enjoyed doing this. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. That would be awesome if you could do that. To all my regular subscribers, thanks again for joining me. Don't forget to like the video. And one last thing, don't forget to keep smelling wonderful.